it seems chickens come home to roost for all the pseudo-liberation movements that we are seeing around the SADC countries. We have seen these brotherhood movements standing with each other, but now it seems tables are turning around and things are not well at all. Welcome to Live with Chatufa, the gospel of the freedom of the Zimbabwean people. We are looking at events that are happening in the nation around us, and events that are showing us and proving that indeed God is on the move and God is watching over the Zimbabwean people. This time we are in a season of exposure. We are in a season where God is causing confusion in the camp of the enemy. We are in a season where the winds of change are blowing unstoppable and nobody can stop it. ZANU-PF can never stop it, or any other force can never stop it. We are today, once again, on this show, looking at how SADC liberation parties are meeting as they face extinction through electoral defeats in their own nations. It seems all is not well at all. Things are not well. Tables are turning around. And I can tell you, things are never going to be be the same again in all these countries that are around. When we look at these brotherhood parties, all over these SADC countries, they've been in partnership, they've been in cohorts, and they've been supporting each other and standing with each other. And for a very long time, SADC has failed really to go through significant progress and prosperity because of these old madalas, because they still want to think analog. They still want to expect the nations to be stand still and operate in the ways of the Stone Age times. They are failing to embrace the development that are happening, the global village that the world has turned into right now, and it has caused a lot of suffering, a lot of negative development actually in terms of the expectations of its citizens. And now we are now seeing what is happening, because especially with ZANU-PF has corrupted all these liberation parties. There is no liberation party around SADC that has not received any corrupt money from ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF has started using millions and millions of US dollars from the money they are siphoning and stealing from Zimbabwe to bribe these other members of these other liberation parties. You remember why we have always been saying, why is it that SADC has always been endorsing the election of Zimbabwe, which was always a sham? You'd find that all other observers, whether it can be Commonwealth, it can be European Union, or any others that are coming from outside, they would always come and condemn the election in Zimbabwe. But SADC has never done that except for this time around, because we are seeing new players coming in, some new leadership coming in, the likes of the Chakweras, the likes of the Hichilemas in Zambia, and things like that. So already there's a bit of a dilution that is happening within SADC. But originally and naturally, they've been standing with each other and they would receive kickbacks. It is known, it is a known fact that many individuals that were appointed from their liberation parties to come and observe elections in Zimbabwe are known to have left Zimbabwe very, very rich each time that there were elections in Zimbabwe, because ZANU-PF would just be preparing bricks and bricks of US dollars for each individual who was in the panel that came to observe elections, ever since the time of Mugabe up to this time around. I'm sure this time around, when Nevas Mumba came, he blocked the bribing of the team, and that is why the report itself this time around was different. But the corruption that ZANU-PF and the murders of ZANU-PF, all the criminal activities of ZANU-PF, have actually caused the other liberation parties in their nations to start to face resistance from their own citizens. And it is not going to be business as usual. I would want us to just look at the reports that I have here so we can go through them together. Right? We have an article from the Newsday of things that are happening in the liberation parties, and we want to look at how these people are going to manage. Are they going to ever manage to go through what they are going through? Right? This is the Newsday article, and it says liberation movements plot against opposition parties. Right, this time around, their meeting is different. They used to have these meetings time and again, but this time the agenda is really against opposition parties because the situation has changed in not only in Zimbabwe or South Africa, but has changed in many countries of the SADC bloc where liberation parties are in charge. Right, so ZANU-PF South Africa's ruling African National Congress (ANC) and other regional liberation movements are meeting in Victoria Falls beginning today to craft strategies to push back the opposition parties' onslaught to remain in power, Newsday has learned. Zimbabwe, as the chairperson of the Southern African Development Community SADC Liberation Movement, is hosting the summit. So can you hear already? They are even talking about it also on their agenda that they really need to stop the opposition parties. They are seeing that opposition parties are coming out hot and wild, and there is nothing that they can do. Right. The summit is being attended by Secretary Generals of ZANU-PF, ANC, People's Movement of Angola, Southwest African People's Organization, that's SWAPO of Namibia, Botswana's Democratic Party, and Chama Pinduzi of Tanzania, and Mozambique's Frelimo. The summit is a follow-up to a recent meeting held in Tanzania where the liberation movements vowed to forge closer ties against the opposition parties, especially during elections, to ensure their continued hold on power. Can you see why we are having problems in SADC? Because we have a brotherhood that is busy defending each other, fighting in each other's corner, and they are not looking at whether this other brother is on the right, especially when it comes to constitutionalism and the rule of law. They are not following that. All they want to do is to uphold their brother in crime, to make sure that they support and make sure that the whole of SADC continues to be under the grip of these pseudo liberation parties. Most of these parties, they've caused a lot of underdevelopment in their countries because of their, manifestos and their kind of their beliefs and in terms of administration and governance. What they are doing, these people, is they want to resist whatever kind of development that comes, especially from countries that they call Western countries or imperialist countries. Whatever that comes from that direction, you'd find that these parties would always want to resist, and they say imperialists, they want to impose things on us, or imperialists want to watch us, or imperialists want to somehow find themselves knitting themselves within our systems. So they are so very quick to just lash out at anything that is coming from the West or from these countries that they call imperialist countries. But when you look at it, most of the development actually is coming from that direction. And that is why their pledge to stand in solidarity with each other continues to be a hindering factor in terms of the development that needs to be seen in these countries. The meeting agreed to pledge solidarity with those sister parties whose countries will be holding elections during the course of the current year. Partly reads a communique released after the Tanzania summit. The liberation movements have been known to side with each other even in disputed elections. So right now, they are those that are threatened include South Africa's ANC. South Africa's ANC is facing a very difficult time this time around. This time around, South Africa is going through the same experiences that ZANU-PF has gone through, because for the very first time, they've been, outward cracks in ANC that have really made a serious blow on the party because of what Ramaphosa has done. Actually, the coming in of Ramaphosa has changed the ANC drastically to a level that most of those old folks from ANC have started to distance themselves away from it. People like Thabo Mbeki and Jacob Zuma. And Zuma having started to propel the MK party. The MK party now is becoming, a veiled fire in South Africa. It is now one of the most followed parties, and it's a threat to ANC. And the MK is a threat to ANC because it's a breakaway from ANC. So you'd find that what will happen is parties like the EFF, they will continue holding on to their people. The parties like the Democratic Alliance will hold on to their people. But the party like the ruling ANC has a problem because it has a breakaway, and this breakaway has grown so much. Right now, the MK party, I was looking at one report that was talking to the tune of 5 million now followers. And when you look at it, all these followers are people that came out of the ANC. And it is a big war. And soon after this MK party came into effect, we have started to see the ANC beginning to play dirty. They've started to play dirty because right now there is an issue that they've frozen Jacob Zuma's accounts, things like that. They've also started to threaten Jacob Zuma. He was threatened by with death sometimes ago, some weeks or so ago. There was a threat to his own life, and we have also seen the threats that they were saying Jacob Zuma is accused of crimes, so he cannot run for presidency. So we still don't know what the MK is going to do. But there's also a development that we are hearing from the grapevines that in the event that Zuma does not run, he is likely going to be roping in Mogoeng, who used to be the attorney general of South Africa. So that man is a powerful man. He's a very powerful man, and he's a man of God. He's always been saying that God has told him that he was going to become president of the country. So what is going to be happening now is if Mogoeng would run, that man also is many hearts, many South African hearts really behind him. So whichever way that ANC tries to block Zuma, there's still another plan B that is also very devastating to ANC. So all these they are trying, and remember the DA is also written to the United States, and they are asking for some observers of elections to come into South Africa, and the ANC has been crying like a baby over that, saying, oh, you want to bring imperialists into our elections and things like that. It is because there are many rumors that are coming up that there's some plans to rig the election by the ANC. They are trying to employ some of the tactics of ZANU-PF. We don't know which chapters they've copied from ZANU-PF that they want to use in South Africa. But I can assure you that it is not going to be easy in South Africa because the rule of law is still a bit intact in South Africa. And also, you know, there are people that are very difficult to bribe in South Africa because most of these other bodies like the Electoral Commission, the Independent Electoral Commission of South Africa, you find that it is still dominated by white people, you know, the Boers and the white people. And these are some people that are very difficult to bribe, you know, especially coming from a black movement like ANC. And then you want to come. And also, if you look in the judiciary of South Africa, we still have quite a lot of whites there who are judges and the like. So the judiciary system also is still very difficult to penetrate in South Africa. So for ANC to think they can play dirty like what their counterparts in ZANU-PF are doing in Zimbabwe, it's a big dream. It's a big pipe dream. It may not be able to succeed. So, and also they also have very vibrant oppositions like the EFF. They are quick to, you know, to react if ever they see anything like it's not going accordingly. So, and South Africans generally have not been a threatened people, you know, especially from the government. Has not been like killing people or shooting people. That's one thing that we also want to have to appreciate with the ANC. They've not been on record of, you know, like just killing people. Of course, we have that Marikana incident that happened, but it's not comparable to what is happening with ZANU-PF. So people have not like been killed, you know, just unnecessarily, people being kidnapped or issues that we see with the ZANU-PF. It's unlike that in South Africa, which means the citizens of South Africa still can stand their ground, and quite to some reasonable extent, their rights are still observed, you know, from the judiciary or to the all other arms of government, which means they can still stand up and resist if ever there are any other things that are done otherwise. So it's never going to be easy for ANC to be able to rig the elections. You still remember the last time Fikile Mbalula, the Secretary General of ANC, tried also to copy from some paragraph of ZANU-PF where he went and he took some T-shirts of the EFF, and he gave them to members of his own party. And then when he started having a rally, those people arrived putting on EFF T-shirts. They started removing those T-shirts and receiving ANC T-shirts, and then he wanted to propagandize it and say EFF members are defecting to ANC, and it was quickly caught and exposed, and non-members of ANC were pictured and even photographed, and some even coming on video, showing their faces, and their names were even published, and proof was given that these people were actually non-members of ANC. So Mbalula was trying to, play some ZANU-PF strategy, which did not work, and it was very embarrassing. So this is one of the issues that are happening. When you look at news also in Mozambique, it's not as easy. It's not an easy go. Remember, Nyusi had also some pressure. I remember the rigged election that happened there, and the court case. I don't know how far that issue has gone to, but the courts upheld that the elections were not like held in a proper way. So things did not look that good. When we look at Lesotho, Lesotho has already changed. The original party, an opposition party now, is in power there, and we are seeing also the Namibian party is also going through quite a lot, although there is no outright division like what we see in ZANU-PF. But the opposition party in Namibia has been growing stronger and stronger by the day, to the point that right now they are at a level that they are really quite competent. So most of these liberation parties, they are looking at this, they are seeing this thing happening, and it is very scary for them. When you look at Botswana's BDP also is in trouble. Because the Ian Khama, the former president, has joined the opposition party, and he was loved so much, more than even the current president, who happened to be the deputy president of Ian Khama. And Ian Khama had to leave Botswana because his life was threatened. The current president is rumored to have been hunting him to either kill him or arrest him or things like that. And he has fled, and he since that time has been living in South Africa, fearing for his life. But he has continued to be in touch with his political party on the ground in Botswana. And also the way that Masisi has run Botswana from the time that he got in, things have started to be bad. If the economy has also started to be going down, prices have also started escalating in Botswana. I've been talking to quite a number of my guys that are in Botswana. They are saying things are getting bad here. The prices are shooting up and things like that. And also, there have been some gun shots that happened on political grounds somewhere in Gaborone sometime. A thing that was never known in Botswana, but it has started to look like it's starting to happen. And a bit of shoving and that is happening during the times of campaigns and things like that, meaning that the political climate also in Botswana is becoming slowly toxic, especially the moment that the current president Masisi openly declared war against the former president. But the former president is unmoved. He has continued to declare that he is still going to make sure that the BDP party does not succeed in the coming elections. It has to fall. And that has also been creating a lot of movements of people from BDP joining the opposition, and the opposition slowly beginning to become stronger. So in light of all this, we are seeing that all these liberation parties are feeling threatened. So they can see that the opposition is really coming after them. And the one that is most afraid is ZANU-PF and ANC. These are the ones that are, and these were the bosses, the bigger ones, the bulls, right, in that club. But they are the ones that are facing the Badiza this time around. Those that know the use of the Badiza will know what I'm talking about here on bulls, right? So this is it. Now they have these meetings. The meetings are now becoming a bit radical. Instead, in the past, they used to be just meetings where they'll be talking about their solidarity and what and their association. But this time around, the language has changed. They are openly declaring war against the opposition parties. which makes it very difficult now, because once they have such kind of meetings, they are radicalized by people like Ramaphosa, ANC, and ZANU-PF. And when they go back to their countries, it is going to affect how SADC operates, because they are going to influence each other negatively. And when they come together as SADC, the way they need to put make a judgment where it involves their sister party and an opposition party of whatever country, they would be found to be leaning more on the side of their sister party than coming out for justice, which is what is going to cause SADC to be just useless. Remember what we were saying last time. I said here, if you write in your diary, I am seeing SADC collapsing eventually. Where we are going there, there's going to be a sharp division in SADC, and that division is not just going to be a crack, it is going to be a total separation. We are going to be having some countries that will totally pull out of SADC. And all this is thanks to ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF is the one that is causing all this. And now ANC also seeing that their situation is just as bad as ZANU-PF. They are also trying to come out of the normal and behaving also like wounded buffaloes. So this is what is going to cost the life of SADC, the very existence of SADC. And I said last time in the show when we talked about the collapse of SADC, I said it is good for us, for SADC to collapse. I said, if you ask me, I would support the collapse of SADC. Let SADC collapse so that something new can come up. Then these liberation parties can be disenfranchised from whatever that they are planning and knitting up together, because they are laying an egg of mischief. And we are tired of their mischievousness. We now want to see a board that represents and upholds the rights of the citizens of every member state. And that is what is going to be happening. God is going to be collapsing ZANU-PF together with all parties that have been propelling ZANU-PF. God is in the move that anyone who has joined the witchcraft of ZANU-PF is going to go down together with ZANU-PF. Mark my words. The very first one being ANC. I've said this in some video long back when I was talking about the ANC, and I said, watch the elections this time around in South Africa. They are going to give you an indication of what God is doing within the SADC region, because God is going to be transforming the whole SADC region, and we are going to be seeing an emergence of a totally new scenario, new leadership, a breed of new leadership that are going to be looking into the real affairs that are affecting their citizens in their respective countries. So we are grateful that they are realizing that they are going down. We are grateful that their eyes are very open, that the snakes are already swallowing them. They are halfway down the belly of the snakes. So the pythons are busy making sure that they go down, and we the eagles are up there flying in the air, because the blue train is never going to be stoppable. It is never going to be stopped. ZANU-PF and its friends and its sister parties will not be able to stop the blue train, because it is the blue train that is actually going to fuel even the other trains that are going to be rising in all these other countries that are surrounding us. So let it be. If they fall, let them fall. All we need is the freedom of the Zimbabwean people and the freedom of the citizens of the SADC countries. They have to be free. They have a right to be free. They need freedom from these pseudo liberators who have turned into dictators at the end of the day. We don't want to see them. We are tired of them. They must go like yesterday. Let me just hear what the members of the family here are saying. Yes, Isabel Chineuta says, the honorable thing for them to do was to step down, teaching Kuwa respect Madara Ayo. They failed to do that. They failed to go honorably. So let them go in disgrace. And that is what is happening. Coming after them, they are going in disgrace very, very soon. So Florence Love says, Unjan, my brother, I was worried with not seeing your videos protecting us and keeping us stronger. We are getting there. Gogoyem says, watching from OC, how's Australia keeping trusting God? Let's continue to trust our God, for our God is definitely on the move to bring liberation and liberty, not only to Zimbabwe, but to the whole of SADC and the rest of Africa. Mildred Love says, I was so happy to hear Chamisa talking to people at the funeral. Yes, we are going to be touching on that. That is the story. Watch the space. We are going to be discussing on that. That is our meal of the day. Yes. My brother Fortune, how are you? Says Chatufa Chete always on the lookout, eating it up, my brother. God is knitting the country back very, very soon. It shall be intact, and all the tatteredness is going to be history. Not Andom Zulu says, good day, Chatufa. Let's keep on praying. God is in it. Prayer is our life. We will continue in prayer and making sure that God delivers the nation as He has promised. Na Jehovah kana kukopa kwacho, they can't see that God is doing something big. I couldn't read the other word there. Maybe it was a spelling mistake. Hajnei says ngavamedzwe vese tive nevatungamiri vechidiki vakachenjera. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what we are going to be doing and what we are expecting to come. Lois Murapa says, thank you so much. Thank you very much, sister, for being on the show and supporting the work that we are doing on the show. So family, we are looking at what is happening, and it's the time of exposure. Now these people are being exposed that, okay, they are really seeing that the tide has changed. Things are no longer the same. Tables have turned around. The situation is no longer the same, and they are showing to the whole world that they are afraid. They are very correct to be afraid, because it is not some unjustified fear. It is justified fear, because they are going down. All these parties, watch the space. Watch ANC is going to be the first testimony of what God is doing in the country, or in the SADC country. So otherwise, we thank God that He remains on the move. Let's continue to stand, prayer, and after prayer, knowing that God is moving. We are following the footsteps of God to bring freedom to the Zimbabwean people. Otherwise, family, I want to appreciate you for joining us. Continue to be with us. We are going to be meeting on the main channel, Chatufa Television Production. I don't know what time is it, at around 4 o'clock or somewhere there. We are going to be talking on another issue. And then the Nelson Chamisa funeral in Mashingo, we are going to be touching it as the last show around 7:30, 8 o'clock there. So stay tuned. Thank you for joining me. Otherwise, remain blessed. Shalom, shalom.